This program makes a bunch of random stuff, and I'm going to show you what it looks like without any filters. It's just a few, it's like a background and a few objects that move around. Assigns a color that corresponds with a musical note frequency. And it takes the value of that frequency, right? And it takes that number, it's assigning that number to a color, so the amount of red, green, or blue on that object will correspond to that frequency number. So what happens is it creates a range of different colors that are proportioned to one another at the same values as musical notes would be proportioned to another. So when we hear musical notes that are proportioned in these frequencies, they sound nice together, right? That's the idea. If you play random sounds on a keyboard, it's not going to sound very good. But if you play them according to specific scales, it doesn't really matter which note along that scale you hit, it's going to sound good, right? Or relatively good together. And that's the same idea here, but with colors. So the colors should look nice together. So I'm just going to go through now and show you that how the program also makes sounds. It has these shaders which affect, on the one hand, what appears on the screen, right? Let me remove them so you can see how that works. So each one has a different effect on the screen, and each one has a corresponding different sound that it will play. It's playing the same notes, but with each shader has a different instrument, you could call it. So now the shaders can stack up, and I did it like this because they have different effects, and the effects change depending on the order in which the shaders appear. So for instance, this one of my favorites here is the old school. It just pixelizes the image, and I have down here, I have some options for that. You can change the size of the pixels. So for instance, if I have the old school and then I add another one on top, like for instance Gaussian, right? It's taking that pixelized image and then applying a blur shader on top of it. But say for instance I took that blur first and then decided to pixelize that, you can see it behaves the opposite direction. It blurs it first and then applies the pixels on top. So each one of these can interact in a slightly different way, and I think that's really interesting. So I wanted to make these not always appear in the same order. So each time I press the proper key, it will randomize the shaders and apply them in that order. And so there's up to 10 shaders, and each one is like that first one, each one has different notes that it plays and a different instrument sound depending on which shader is chosen. So if I, for instance, add a bunch of these, you're going to start hearing more instruments playing until they're all playing. But if I start removing them, you're going to hear less. No, it's just the one layer. So there's two different things. You can randomize the shaders and therefore the sounds. And then you can also hit the R button to spawn a new level. So what that will do is it'll load a new level, create all those objects, but then because I didn't change the shaders, it'll apply the same shaders that I had. So they're handled separately. Now when I load a new level, it creates a new song also, right? And new images to go along with that song. So let's just go through a few random things and enjoy the experience. I kind of like this one, so I'm just going to mess with it for a bit and start adding new layers.